Introducing the all-new MMI Awagami Factory 4 Seasons, a watch that merges traditional Japanese craftsmanship with modern watchmaking. And I apologize to Awagami Factory, I am probably butchering the name. So gomen aside, forgive me, but moving on, they collaborated to create a stunning series inspired by the 4 seasons. What does that mean? Well, that means we got 4 different colorways. We got the pink for springtime, a yellow for summer, and my favorite, a gorgeous baby blue for winter. But in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the autumn dial. And of course, that's the orange dial. Each dial is crafted from washi paper, a traditional Japanese handmade paper with swirling fibers that resemble drifting clouds or a flowing dragon. I'm not so sure I see all that, but what I am sure of is I see a fantastic looking dial. It's handmade, artistic, and unique. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's first talk about the case. Design-wise, it's a classic. It's a round case with modern lugs that break slightly abrupt from those case lines. The sides of the case are high polished with a smooth, flat tapering, high polished bezel. The lugs are stout and sturdy looking with brushing on the tops. And they do taper down, meeting flush with the case back. So unless you have an extremely tiny wrist, this watch should have no overhang. And I love the lug tips. They are blunt, flat, and taper up towards the ends. Overall, this simple case is inoffensive and, in my opinion, a winner. Now let's take a look at the dimensions. I got 39.5 millimeters in diameter and a secret measurement of 34 even. The thickness is only 11.8, and that is including that sapphire crystal that sits proud of the bezel about 1 millimeter. And we got no drilled lugs and a lug to lug of 46.5. So the size is pretty spot on. It's going to make a lot of different wrist sizes happy. And the best part is that the watch wears flat. And if you've been watching this channel before, you know I am not a fan of tall, floating casebacks. I love when the watch hugs the wrist. All right, flipping the watch over, we are greeted with yet another sapphire crystal. The sapphire display caseback gives you a clear view of the premium Japanese automatic movement. Now let's take a closer look at the dial. That's where the magic happens. Pay close attention and you'll notice we have a third sapphire. It is held in with 2 screws on each side of the dial. You can see them near the 3 and 9 o'clock markers. The Arabic numerals and triangle markers are printed on top of the sapphire, and the sapphire acts as a barrier protecting that washi paper. And if you're worried about the flat sapphire flattening that washi paper, yeah, the dial looks flat in some angles, but for the most part, you can still see the depth and creases of the washi paper. And speaking of that washi paper, this is the real deal. The collaboration with Awagami Factory paid off here, as the handcrafted traditional washi looks amazing. The swirling fibers creates a depth and movement, and I love that you're basically getting a bespoke piece because each dial is going to be slightly different with the patterns and shapes of the paper. Now moving on to the hands, they are MMI's traditional sword style. They are high polished with a crease down the center and they do taper. The second hand has a narrow arrow tip matching those hour markers, and the overall dial legibility is great. And let's not forget about the bracelet. It's got a stout, thick Jubilee style with polished mid links and brushed outer. Sizing comes in at 20 millimeters, a fan favorite, and tapers down to 18 at the clasp. The clasp is fully milled, and it's got 5 on-the-fly toolless micro adjustments. Very nice. The bracelet is solid and it's fixed via screws, and the solid end links also have quick release spring bars built in. Okay, so what about the lume? Well, MMI went with grade A Swiss Super Luminova BGW9. It coats the indices and the hands, and I love that the color matches in the daytime and at night. A small detail which many brands can't get right. But be aware, the BGW9 is printed on top of the sapphire, so you're not going to have the strongest lume, but because it's grade A, it's a decent loom. Alright, what's powering the Four Seasons? Well, you guessed it from the case back, it's the Myota 9039 Premium Movement. It's got a smooth sweep at 28.8 VPH, and it does hack and hand wind. There are 24 joules and it does have 42 hours of power reserve. And I gotta say, even though this one is a prototype, it's nice to see MMI actually regulated the movement. That is a tremendous value add for customers, and I can get on board with that. The crown is signed with the MMI power button logo, and of course it's loomed because why not? The crown is push-pull, and I'm happy to say even pulled out all the way in the second position, there's no wobble. It is solid. And it helps give this Four Seasons a respectable 100 meters of water resistance. Now I forgot to mention the sapphire crystal on the top. It's got a beautiful classy bevel that sticks out just about a mil, and it's a single dome sapphire. MMI also went the extra mile with giving you multiple layers of anti-reflective coating, so you get a clear view of that gorgeous dial. The Four Seasons collection is a fusion of Japanese tradition with modern watchmaking, and whether you're drawn to the colors of spring, summer, autumn, or winter, the watch definitely tells a story. But what does this story cost? Well, it retails for $499, but if you get in today, April 1st to April 30th, you will save $100 and get it for $399. At that price, yeah, you know what? That's a deal. So there will be a link in the description to jump to MMI's website. And guys, while you're down there, make sure you hit that like button. It really helps the channel out. I appreciate your time, and I'll see you in the next one.